Drew and Fuse Show, the Drew and Fuse Show. They clean up nicely. It's the Drew and Fuse Show, the Drew and Fuse Show, the Drew and Fuse Show. Yeah, they clean up nicely. Yeah.
Yo!
Hey! How you doing? Long time no see.
I am just doing amazing tonight. It feels like Cape Cod out here in Long Beach. It's super foggy, having a hard time, freezing cold. I'm not used to that, and that's it. Just trying to get through all that fog.
It's 10:20 p.m. here for those that are listening, and it's snowing. So it's snowing outside. So it's about 27 degrees out. What's cold to you? How cold is it out there right now?
I had to put a sweatshirt on, a hoodie.
So it's like a brisk 65.
Brisk 65. Yeah, it is not snowing for sure. I'm not envious of that.
Well, Cincinnati. It'll probably be like 65 degrees here tomorrow because our winters are just so weird right now. The last few years, it's just been all over the place. Yeah. Anyway, hey guys, how you guys doing that are listening? We appreciate you listening and tuning in always. We want to say thank you for everybody who's been reaching out. I just want to give a special shout out to DJ Sickness. He responded to us with something we said, and I just wanted to say thanks because we appreciate all the kind words. So today's guest is very special. Drew and I have known him for a while now. He has been editing music for DMS for a long time. He was on before me. I don't know if he was on before you, Drew, or not, but he's been doing it for a while. And he's a great DJ, great person. He is somebody that when he does something, he puts 110% into it. He is the owner of something you may not heard of. It's called Club Cannon.
He's the player of players. He has his own intro song. Let's hit him with the intro. Let's go. Bring him in.
All right. Please help us welcome DJ Donk.
What up?
There we go. That's the intro.
I love it. Is it still going?
Good. The ending is the best part.
I'm sorry, I jumped the gun on that one.
It never gets old.
My favorite is that when I loaded it into Serato to play it, the artist is Shred Flanders.
Shout out to C-Flow for that one.
Yeah.
I mean, what year was that? We made it in a hotel room in Vegas, right?
Yeah, I think it was the same year that we went out to the DMS party that you guys bought the Xbox to play Grand Theft Auto and then returned it before we left.
Quick rental from Best Buy or something?
Yeah, like DMS parties are lit. What'd you guys do? Well, we sat in the hotel room, made stupid mashups, and rented an Xbox and then returned it before we left.
I feel like, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I feel like we got out there a few days before the party because there was only like a certain flight one day of the week. And so we were out there a day or two early, fucking off in the hotel, making stupid mashups and playing Xbox.
It's 2013, maybe 14.
Yeah, I want to say it was the second one. I want to say it's the one where we went out and it was like Chuck Liddell was in the dinghy boat and Little John and Steve Aoki. Turbulence was like the big song then.
That was the second year then. So probably 2012 maybe.
Yeah.
Yep.
That night, that was probably like the peak of the EDM era. Like, I mean, Chuck Liddell in a dinghy boat crowd surfing with Steve Aoki DJing and Little John on the mic. I mean, it was insane.
Didn't you DJ for Chuck Liddell, Don?
Yeah, he used to live in San Luis Obispo, so I DJ'd at his house a handful of times. We used to have some fun.
All right.
Yeah, so that was super random when we were at XS that night that he just happened to be there. It was totally random.
Did he come to our table or we were just going backstage?
I think we went back and said what's up to him, and he was with a couple other people that were from my town. So
I got to be honest, I don't really remember much of that besides being like, oh yeah, there's Chuck Liddell in a boat. The night's just a giant blur.
He was throwing cakes.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the peak of the cakes. And I remember being I think the boats were a new thing when he broke that out at XS, at least for his Aoki's whole show.
That didn't last long at XS though, right? He didn't play there for very long.
No, because Aoki moved to the Hakkasan shortly after his residency.
Right.
Hakkasan opened shortly after that, I think.
They cherry picked a bunch of those top guys from XS and moved them over to Hakkasan.
One of the things that we usually get started with when we have a guest on the podcast is a little rapid fire question round. So we're just going to kind of go into it and, just answer how you feel. And I already know the answer to this one, and Drew does too. But what time do you wake up, in the morning or the afternoon?
Morning.
Your dream vacation.
I've always wanted to drive across the U.S. and just like check out a bunch of places I've never been. So most people might say they want to go to a specific country, but I just kind of want to cruise the whole U.S. and check it out.
Oh, that's cool.
Would you do it in a motorhome, a van, or just your regular car? What would you do?
I don't know. I mean, obviously a motorhome would be the most comfortable, but I haven't really thought about it in great length yet. I don't know.
My wife's always wanted to get a motorhome, and I would get stuck driving it. So the thought of driving that thing, it sounds like a nightmare. I don't think I would enjoy it. I'd just be white knuckling it. So
I mean, didn't Kev get something like a Winnebago or something?
Yeah, he loved that thing. It was like a baby Winnebago.
And they used it to go cruise around the States, right?
They made a couple short runs. I don't know if he ended up keeping it or what happened, or if he just sold it off.
I think that you should shoot for the Tesla Winnebago.
Dude, if that comes out, that'll definitely be the road trip mobile for sure.
Can you get a camper on the truck, the Cybertruck?
I think you can. They're talking about that, I think. Yeah.
Throw a bed in the back of the camper Cybertruck?
Yeah.
Did you pre-ordered one, right? For the $100, whatever it was?
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about that, regarding that?
I mean, just from whatever I read in the news, like every week, it seems like there's something. But supposedly next year, 2022, they're going to start making them. So we'll see.
All right. This is one that's been pretty hilarious to us. What is the best non-curse word, one-word insult?
That would be probably cat. I got that one from Drew.
That's a great one. The boy's a cat.
Yeah, your boy's a cat, dude. He's something else.
And I think once you start saying it, it makes a lot of sense. But everyone looks at me like, why is he a cat? I don't understand.
I mean, you're the one that put me onto that, and now I find myself using it all the time.
You should have been in Atlantic City with us, because me and Drew were just on one for those 2 days of just saying ridiculous shit. The most ridiculous shit.
That was at the DJ Expo or what?
Yeah, DJ Expo. Kind of what spawned this show, in fact, I want to say.
Yeah.
Is Expo just walking around and BSing the whole time.
So, all right. Favorite childhood show?
I was thinking about that one, and I didn't really remember one that stood out to me, but I thought the one that made the most sense was, I remember, I don't know how old I was. I could probably figure out when this show aired, but one of the reasons why I wanted to be a DJ growing up was when I would watch like MTV Spring Break, and like DJ Scribble would be doing his thing. And I remember always wanting to watch that, and it like made me want to be a DJ, because he was always like rocking the party out there, and there's a bunch of people on the beach wiling out. So
those were wild. I kind of even forgot about that until you just kind of mentioned it. And yeah, I remember watching that on TV all the time.
He played DJ Expo. He headlined that last night, or the second night. I mean, he's still dope.
I heard him, I want to say it was 2019. I was out in Vegas briefly for bar and nightclub, and Scribble played at, what's the new club that's like the Speakeasy? On the record. Yeah, he played there. It was good. What he was doing was like good for that space. It was Scribble being Scribble, and it was great.
Well, that's kind of what the whole theory is behind that venue, right? It's like they appreciate DJs, and they bring in DJs to play there.
I haven't been there yet, but I like that theory of having a spot like that.
It's a cool spot. It was kind of weird because it was like more like a bar, but yet they still do like the whole Vegas thing where you get bottle service. And so there's still the whole, you can't stand here, you got to keep moving. And you're like, wait, what? I thought this is like a bar. Like, so it's still got that Vegas thing. I'll never forget when it was the three of us and Simo, and we were in Vegas early for a DMS party, and we went and saw Vice play. I think it was Lavo that he played, and all of us were in there, and maybe it was Seaflow too. And they just kept shuffling us around. And like all the four of us did, or five of us, we just kept moving to a different spot. And when they told us we couldn't stand there anymore, we had to like move to the next spot. We stood there until we got kicked out of that spot. And then like,
yeah, that sounds about right.
They want you to buy the bottle. They just keep pushing you to buy the bottle until you get frustrated.
Do you own your own Netflix account, or do you use somebody else's?
Shout out to my mom. I think I'm still on her account. I think like everybody in the family has their own user on that thing.
So tight.
We said with Audio One, the best Netflix account's a free one.
Totally. I mean, but I do pay for a couple that I lace people up with, like that YouTube Premium family, and like I have a Spotify family account that I like lace all my friends up with.
The last thing you had to Google
when the Rane 57 came out. I was trying to figure out when that mixer came out, and I think it was 06. I didn't really get a clear answer on Google, but I did Google that today.
I think that was 06, 07, because I got Serato 06, February 06, and then I think I bought a 909. So I want to say it probably came out closer to 07, 08, if I'm not mistaken.
I just remember the videos of AM when he was like
all those black and white Serato videos.
Oh my God. And the one where he's in the club and it was like at the end of the night or something. This is one that wasn't a black and white one, but he's like, the one cool thing about Serato in relative mode is I can do this. And he's like doing this is how we do it into this is how we do. And I was like, I need that. That totally worked. That marketing sold me. And that's why I got one.
I must have got it in 05. That's why I was thinking it was.
I got Serato in 05. And then like a year or two later, I bought the 57.
I remember the fact that I didn't have to plug in that SL box anymore. So it was all about that 57. I remember people trying to hack it and put a full SL box inside of a 56.
I vaguely remember that too, because I remember you could see like if you were looking on eBay to buy one, those would pop up.
Mod 56.
Yeah. I want to say that probably inspired him. Who knows? So long ago at this point. But,
Speaking of that, we got to touch later on if you still have any of those white Serato vinyls.
Yeah, I don't even know. I would have to look. I don't think I do. I don't think I have any left. But I have some other like crazy ones that aren't white.
Do you still have a decent collection of those?
I think I got rid of most of my like collectible ones, but I think I do have some like test pressing weird like brown ones or something.
I remember I never got a hold of the white ones, but Titsworth made like a white vinyl. Then I had a couple pairs of those.
I remember I was like trying to buy those on like Turntable Lab when they came out, and they were super hard to get.
I actually have that pair.
You have it still?
With like the white and green label on it?
Yeah.
I think I paid more than the face. I think I paid like double for them. And it was like just after they released, like the next day or something.
Probably worth way more than that now.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't
know. The bubble might have burst on that, but there was like a time where people were getting crazy money for those vinyl.
AGI just had a thing where had Mixmaster Mike's has a new record out, and they were doing a whole package of a bunch of those old, not old, but a bunch of those collector's item.
Oh, really? Oh,
but I don't know if they're worth any money, like you're saying. I wonder if that white one's worth any money. It's got to be, right?
I would think so.
Even though, like, I feel like the amount of people playing on turntables is going down and down every year with all these new controllers and all-in-one solutions that are popping up. I mean, I'm not in the club as much as I used to be, but it seemed like that's the way it was going the past couple of years.
Or phase, you don't even need the control signal anymore.
Yeah, but you don't need white records either, but it's a flex when you're playing with those, you know?
I mean, with the phase though, now it's like the demand for the record is even down because
I could buy worn out.
Yeah, buy one pair of records and use it forever in theory, as long as I don't lose them or the magnet doesn't come unglued.
Are you using phase like on a regular basis?
I use phase every Saturday night. at the club. Yeah. And it's actually great because the sound system is like all right on the stage and the subs are like underneath the stage kind of. So before, you know, we would have to like put foam and stuff under the turntables, and now it's like now we don't have to do that. So so what was the last thing you've listened to on Spotify?
That Wrapped 2021. I had to go double check what I listened to most. Surprisingly, what do you think my number one artist was for 2021?
Post Malone.
I mean, I was surprised it wasn't. Normally Posty takes the number one spot every year, but it was Machine Gun Kelly.
Wow, interesting.
I really liked his album from last year.
I liked it too, actually. I didn't like what it kind of became. I liked the music. And here's what I mean when I say I don't like what it became. It became, Drew, you can probably attest to this a little bit. It was the first time like a rock song, and for those just listening, I've got my quotation fingers up. A rock song kind of came back into top 40, and a rock guy. He is making more rock with Travis, but I hate what like happened with it. That all these people that are like, I'm rock and I like rock. It's like now mainstream. And he's with Megan Fox and Travis is with the Kardashian. I just hate that part of it. But I liked the fact that I liked the music, and I liked the fact that there was like some rock on the radio again. But I kind of hated the show here. Everybody that went, I'm like, eye roll. Like I didn't want anything to do. I even had tickets and I sold them all because one, I made money, and then two, I just didn't want anything to do with it.
I'll take any rock. I don't care. And Travis is involved, so I'm in.
The song with Black Bear was great. I loved that track. Bloody Valentine was cool. What's his name? Mod Sun's like a writer on some of the tracks, I think, too, on the album.
I don't listen to Mod Sun, but I have heard a lot of people talk about him being dope.
It's just interesting, like how that little crew is becoming cool. Not that they're not cool, but I want to say Travis and this album probably brought it to light, right? It's kind of in our era, the underground just came to light once, you know, one or two records becomes big. It's going, oh, let's pick everybody else from the underground since this is popular and make it cool. So I don't know. Maybe it's just something we didn't know about. I think the two videos for both of the songs were cool too. The My Ex's Best Friend video is pretty sweet, and I feel like it's rare anymore when you get a sweet music video. Like it's like he's like the car is like upside down. He's like sitting on the car playing guitar, and it's like driving down the road, but it's upside down. So it's pretty neat.
That's dope.
I want to say I haven't watched the video.
I would think you would have played it doing videos.
I know. I think I was never playing it.
Are you still doing video stuff, Drew?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, if I do a club or a bar, I'll play video. Or every now and then, if I have my Toad booth, I'll throw videos on for weddings and stuff. I wasn't playing MGK at my weddings. I probably should have been, but I wasn't.
I mean, do you play that stuff in the club, Fuse?
I play the bar I play at on Fridays. I play the MGK. I play it maybe like the first hour in the night. I'll play it. I mostly played My Ex's Best Friend. Every once in a while, I would play Bloody Valentine because it was like 80. That one's like 80 BPM. So if I was mixing like Panic I Write Sins Not Tragedy and like What's My Age Again and those couple rock songs from like 75 to like the 90, I would kind of skip through them all real quick.
I can see it working. I'd try it the next bar I do.
Yeah, that my Ex's Best Friend got more of a reaction than Bloody Valentine. Those are good. I like those are good songs. I like Black Bear, and that song is cool. So
yeah, I mean, I think my Wrapped is kind of skewed because we always have like my Spotify account is tied to the Sonos throughout the shop, and it's just like playing in the background while everybody's working. It's like a rotating shuffle. It's not necessarily stuff that I put on, you know.
Yeah,
my Spotify was super skewed. My top 21 was mostly a bunch of wedding stuff that I put on when I'm running around and doing stuff. My artists were pretty accurate, but any singles were very skewed towards weddings. I don't think I have a favorite song that I play over and over any time of year.
No. I mean, there might be one cut off like a CD that you'll listen to a couple times extra, but I'm not putting anything on a repeat and listening to it every day, 5 times. Yeah.
Let's see here. What's one of your favorite things to do when not DJing? But since you're not DJing much at the moment, we'll say when you're not working.
I mean, that's got to be golf, right? I got the bug during COVID. So
Golf is life. I remember this conversation between the two of you guys talking about golf.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that you could do for.
Right. We got Drew out to the Top Golf or the Top Tracer when he came to visit a few months ago.
If
I mean, that was over a year ago now already.
It was November.
Wasn't that like
it was
November
a full
20?
year ago. Yeah. If they had that closer, I would go once a week, or a couple times a month.
I mean, it's a
fun
great
as hell.
social activity. You can go drink some beers, eat some food, hit some balls.
Do you go all the time, or is it mostly just for the course?
I mean, back last year when you came to visit and we went out there, I was going there once a week probably. We had like guy night where we'd go out there on Thursdays and get dinner and hit some balls, but I don't go there very often anymore. I mean, granted, my schedule was a lot more open in 2020 than it is now. So I found myself out there a lot more.
I love going to Top Golf. It's fun, especially when you get people that are like non-golfers and you can convince them to go. And I feel like it's a good balance of golf and, just fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you guys cook a lot at home?
A couple times a week, probably. Sanella works a lot like I do, so we're guilty of ordering probably more than we should, but we do cook. We make tacos.
I was just gonna say, do you have a go-to dish?
Yeah, we'll tacos or barbecue usually, and then if we're like ordering, we'll get sushi or whatever.
Who's your favorite remixer or producer? You can name a couple if you need to.
That was tricky. I always was a fan of DeVille just because I felt like him and I had very similar taste. Like when I would hear his work, it was usually aligned with how I would have done it myself. And even like super early on when I was doing stuff for Crack for DJs or any of those random websites, it seemed like some of the stuff that I made, he also had made, even like we weren't biting each other. We just had like the same mindset when songs would come out. So I've always been a fan of DeVille. He does good stuff.
Agreed. Yeah,
I agree. So here's a question that we decided to add, and especially with you, we thought this one would be great. What's a popular song that DJs might be playing that makes you cringe and that you would hate to play? It could be multiple songs, but just songs that you're absolutely over playing in the bar or club.
I mean, I don't really know because I haven't played in a club for almost 2 years, and I've been lucky because I don't have to really listen to pop like I used to. When I was DJing all the time, I would have to stay up on all the new music, but I'm sure there's some super cringy songs that you guys have to play at the club these days.
Well, even back then, right? So I do way too many.
I mean, it's like the Call Me Maybe, the Gangnam Style, all that shit. But at the same time, like those worked and you would get a reaction. So you kind of wanted to play them, even though it wasn't your first pick, right? I mean, it's like any huge single, you're going to play it because it's going to get a reaction.
I think that's one of the things that for me about DJing is I no longer hear music. I just hear if it gives me a 2-minute break into what's the next song I get to play, right? So exactly what you're saying. If it works, fuck it. I don't give a fuck. Here's your song.
Yeah. But what is a song that's super popular right now that you don't want to play when you're at the club?
I think for me, I was going for super cringy. Play That Funky Music, White Boy is like nails on a chalkboard. For me.
But like I'm just not going to play that.
Right. No, that's what I mean. I think that was kind of where the question was going, is if you have a song that you hate. What's your hate song?
I'll tell you, mine is Shania Twain, Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and I play it, and I fucking hate myself every time I play it. Like, I hate myself this much more every time I play it. And it works, but I fucking hate it.
Like, I don't like Mambo No. 5, but that's Drew's jam. So I wasn't going to say that.
Oh, I'll take it. I don't care. Good story is I remember I was up, and I think it was your birthday party, or it was one of the parties I played up in Slow. And at one point we had been drinking, and I dropped Mambo No. 5, and you and Soul come running up to the dance floor, going, "What the fuck?" And what are you doing? It was just
working. I'm sure it was crushing.
And it was crushing, and you're like, "Oh man, I thought I was gonna have to pull you," and I'm going, "No, look, everyone's dancing."
Oh, you would never get pulled, Papa. You know that.
I know, but I was definitely pushing some boundaries, having some fun with you
I
guys.
mean, that's the idea. That's what we want.
What is one of your most memorable nights in the DJ booth?
Probably when Drew almost got pulled for playing Mamba number 5.
Best answer ever.
Which spot was it at?
It was at Mother's.
Okay.
I was thinking about that, and it would have to be like all those times that you would come up and play. Did you play at Mother's, Fuse?
I didn't play at Mother's. We played at the library together, which was just a little tiny spot.
Yeah, right
Boy,
next door.
open.
Yeah.
It was only like a Tuesday that I was up there. It was like a Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite nights, obviously, when you guys come into town or any friends visit and we can go play together. Because being in SLO, I mean, I have my homies that live around here, but it's always fun getting people to come visit and play and experience the normal spots that I was doing.
Kevin played up there a couple times too, right?
Yeah, so Kevin and Jason came out for my birthday. That was like 2010 or something. It was a long time ago. That was a super fun night. There was plenty of memorable nights. Like Mother's was my home base for the majority of my time DJing, and we had a lot of fun there. It was cool because there was that spot, SLO Brew, that was right behind it, where I used to play on Friday nights also. And it was dope because it was a concert venue and then a late night spot after the concert. So when I would go to work on Fridays, it was always something new. You would be playing after a band or a reggae artist or something random, but there was always dope people coming through also. Like I remember Yellow Card played there and Snoop Dogg played there and Bone Thugs played there, Too Short, E40, all those guys would come through and occasionally they would hang out afterwards, or I would be at Mother's and they would go, bar hopping and cruise around. So there was some dope nights where
I think
artists
you had
would come through.
a Snoop iPhone drop at one point, right?
Yeah, it was like a voice memo on my phone or something. I opened, or no, I don't remember if I opened, but I remember closing after him, and we were like in the green room. And he was like, "What up, nephew? You want to hit this blunt or something?" And I was like, "I'm good on that, but can you give me a drop real quick?" And I just like pulled up my phone and put it in his face, and he was totally cool about it. So that was a memorable night for sure.
If you had a piece of advice that you would know now, what would you tell yourself back when you first started DJing?
Probably travel more, maybe network more. I was kind of pretty stationary when I was DJing. Like I had a good schedule here locally, so it didn't force me to travel and kind of hustle as much as I should have. I just got comfortable, I guess, which was great because I was, spending 3 to 5 nights a week locally, and it kept me busy. But looking back, I'd probably try and travel a little bit more, do what you guys are doing, bounce around.
But even now, I mean, it took me years to do that. I was still mostly doing exactly the same as you, just staying fairly local.
Also,
you guys both kind of had the same thing as me. Like Fuse was locked in Cincinnati, playing at all the best spots and had the best nights at every club. And Drew had a ton of opportunities where he was living, managing all those spots and booking DJs. It's easy to get comfortable doing that,
Totally. If you guys want to take a small vacation, I'm going out to play with Drew in January 13th through the 17th, that weekend. So I'll be out there. We're going to do a couple different spots. We can tell you more about it later.
Yeah, I'd love to come down there. Are you playing at that spot in Orange, Drew?
Yeah, we're doing Heat on Saturday, the 15th.
Yeah,
we're still rounding out the schedule, but
should I bring some Sacagawea coins and come down there?
I don't know if I know the story, so you might have to tell it.
I'll tell the Sacagawea story. For my 40th birthday, I've always had this dream, and it's the dumbest dream on planet Earth. I wanted to basically go out to a really expensive dinner and only spend dollar coins, Sacagawea coins, and like tip everybody. And I have this is the last roll that I still had. I just found them, and it's all dollar coins. So we went out to.
I like how they're just they're just within arm's reach at all times.
I know.
Well, at one point, I had so many of them everywhere.
I have a
My
bag
wife-
of them at the house left over from your party.
My wife basically, we went and got, I think she bought like $600 in dollar Sacagawea coins. And so we went to a nice restaurant. I got a limo bus and we paid for everything in Sacagawea coins. And it was pretty fucking fun. That was my 40th birthday.
The bartenders were getting so pissed off they didn't even want to take our order because they would give you the credit card tray with a bill on it or whatever, and I would just like throw 18 fucking coins on it, and they were getting so pissed off.
I had a knapsack. It was just filled in dollar coins, and so I'd have someone pull it off and grab a handful, and that was how they would pay. So
That might be one of the best things that I've ever heard for a birthday. That's so amazing. So good. I mean, like, I can see why they'd be pissed, but God, it's so funny. Like, you would, if it was me, I would have to laugh because I'd be like, you know what? This is amazing. And
well, they're pretty much out of circulation, right? So one, everyone thinks they're fake. That's the problem. But they don't really have a drawer for them or anything. I don't know. It's like a gold coin. It just was making it made me laugh.
The parking garage up in Mount Adams, where I used to play at the pavilion all the time, it would cost $2 to park in the garage up there. And if you put like a $10 or a $5 bill in, they would hit you back in Sacagawea coins. So I had a stash in my car of them too. And the best part
Bring them with you when you come, and we'll go out drinking.
the best part was the coin slot on their machine was broken, so you couldn't even pay for it in them. It was like they were trying to
you could only get change. You couldn't give it back to them.
That's right. Yeah.
I remember calling Donk and going, "Hey, dude, it's my birthday. If you're bored, you want to roll through. We're wearing suits and we're going out spending Sacagawea coins." He's like, "I'm there.
I'm on my way."
That's so good.
It was funny.
That kind of rounds out our rapid fire questions that weren't so rapid fire, but a lot of funny stories. And that story is just amazing right there. But we're going to get into our top 5 Serato played. And we know you haven't been DJing, but we know you got a play count still. So we still want to talk to you a little bit about that.
Yeah, right, dude. I don't have a play count. You asked for that, and I went and looked at my Serato, and it's like version 2.02. It doesn't have play count. So I've always just found a version that works and then never update until I have to update.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was at. But I did go through and grab, I looked through the last 10 sets I played or whatever, and I grabbed everything that I remember playing frequently. I have a couple originals that I know I played, I had to play almost every night, and then a bunch of bootlegs that I was playing in heavy rotation. The first one is Kanye Good Life, the original, or actually it's the video version that drops in differently, where it's welcome to the good life, right from the jump. I play that a lot. Next episode, C-Flow Hold Up First Edit. Yeah. I play that a lot. Hollow Boys Show Me Love in the Club, obviously.
Real quick, back on that C-Flow, that next episode edit, he added the heartbeat to keep it going,
right,
where it drops in and says,
yeah, it's the only one to play.
Smoke weed every day, yeah, and
so
it's perfect.
It's an 8-bar intro, and then it's just Nate Dogg Hold Up, and then it goes into the outro, and then it goes back to the first verse if you want to let it go back. But if you just want to play the part that everybody knows, you can just play it and be in and out in 30 seconds.
I love that edit. I played it the other day. I need to make a clean version of it for my weddings because that would be better to play. What was number 3?
Hollow Boys Show Me Love in the Club. So that was what, Vice and Echo?
Yeah.
50 Cent.
That's a good one. I still play that every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of playing it probably more than I should, but I felt like it's just one of those fillers in the 90 BPM range that just gets you on to the next one.
You made a great edit of that intro into the 50 Cent, and I play that almost every night.
Yeah, that's what I play, is the donk that edit Donk made.
I think all I did was put an intro on it because the original is just a scratch break in "Get Your Damn Hands Up." Right?
But I feel like you chopped out the...
I took out the Ice Cube. Yeah, I think I did take out the Ice Cube.
Yeah, because it just...
That's what me and C-Flow and I call de-hyping. where you take like half of the hype out, so it's like a little more tolerable, you know.
De-dropping. We were de-dropping a bunch of stuff, taking out
Yeah.
drops.
And then as far as bootlegs, I'm just gonna rattle through these, and if you want me to touch on any of them, let me know. 2 Chainz versus Bassjackers Birthday Chant. That's a Beat Breaker edit. Fat Joe All the Way Up, Miles Medina bootleg. Baha Men versus ASAP Ferg, Work the Dogs Out, C-Flow edit.
Wow.
Have you ever heard that?
That's so
That's
good.
amazing.
I can't believe you guys didn't have that. It's from 2014.
I don't. One of my favorite C-Flow edits is where he did the French Montana Pop That, and it was just the Work remix, but it was just Rick Ross going work, 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 work for like the rest of the song.
That reminds me of the Brett B. Mall edit.
Yes, I was just gonna say that.
So good.
That's so good. I love those little crowd trolls. The most recent crowd troll that I've been doing, and I don't do it anymore because the song's kind of like whatever anymore, and I try not to play it, is the Megan Thee Stallion, the body. So when she's like body yaddy yaddy yaddy, I just loop the yaddy yaddy yaddy, and I just keep looping it until people like are like, "What is going on?"
So that was Baha Men. OT Genesis Coco Rock, which is like a Mac J edit. Da Baby versus Ramones Blitzkrieg Bop, which was like one of the last edits I put up on DMS, I think. Sweet Dreams, Mac J. Sugar We're Going Down, Jason John I bootleg. I Love Sax. That was an edit I did, which was Icona Pop versus Laidback Luke. I got your last resort Fuse Mania Frankenstein edit up in here.
Ooh,
I was playing that a lot. I mean, I feel like in 2019 and early 2020, I was playing like a bunch of that pop rock stuff, like Sugar We're Going Down, Ocean Ave,
Big
Last
right
Resort, all that stuff. That's what was cracking the most when I was playing gigs back then. Now it sounds like it's like 2010s EDM is like banging right now.
That pop rock set still crushes for me at weddings, but what was the biggest this past weekend for me was the progressive house, like Calling.
That's what I'm talking about, like Calling and Reload and all that stuff.
Don't Worry Child, all that just progressive-y house, Titanium, any of the big sing-alongs with that melodic, that drop was 30, 40 plus minutes of my wedding this past weekend. All hook and drop.
Right. Are you playing that stuff, Fuse?
Yeah, kind of the same way when I play it. Like I'll play like Clarity, Titanium. What's another one?
Well, right in that pocket is the new Shouse that we were just talking about.
Oh yeah, that one with the auto nose, so good. Jason B made like a Frankenstein, but that I even have an edit that I shortened of his Frankenstein a little bit that I've been playing. So yeah,
you had a good auto nose edit, didn't you, Donk? I felt like I used to play that.
Sometimes I kind of forget about this. Another one I had on the list was the G-Eazy versus Comes, Me, Myself, and This Girl. I was playing that one a lot too.
That one was great. I played that one a lot too.
I still play that one.
I mean, it's a good for that 115 to 120 pocket. There's never enough songs to put in that pocket right there.
I was just gonna say that it's still so hard to find songs to skip through that, like that 100 to 120. Like, I mean, there are songs, and I get it. We could play Usher, we could play.
You can play Promiscuous Girl or whatever. The Way I Are.
Holla Back Girl. I could play all those songs, and I know they all work. I just rather not.
The problem is there's only 10 of them, so you're playing the same 10 in that spot every night.
Yeah.
Or you just play a transition up.
You know what song that Drew I wanted to talk about, and I meant to text you about, is the Tiesto. I like us better when we're wasted. That
like
song,
Matthew Coma and Tiesto.
Yes. I got a request for that the other night. I'm like, I played it and it like kind of worked, but the edit I had just sucked. So I need to I think it could work if it's just basically like a hook and drop only.
I have a Drew Pierce bootleg. I don't know what I did to it.
Shit. Exclusive. DIP.
Added in
Is it
January.
de-hyped already, or do you need to touch it up a bit?
It's added in January 2015. So
is that
in
song
that era
old? I thought it was not that old, but I guess time just flies these days.
Well, that era I was doing American Junkie, the house room, And so I was just looking for anything sing along in house. You had to keep their attention. It was 3 hours, and it was bangers. And because the bar was right outside the door, so I would always, if you weren't.
Didn't we play that room together one night? I like played in the house room, and you played in the other room or something.
Yeah. You did the whole night, right?
Yeah.
Was it a Thursday or a weekend?
I don't remember. Probably a weekend, but I don't know. I just remember it was like before house was. I mean, I wasn't prepared to play 4 hours of it, but you were like, here's what I played last time, and then I just went through and built a crate and just ran through it.
Yeah, you crushed that night. I remember.
That was a fun spot.
Did you and Seaflow grow up together, or Seaflow lived out there for a brief moment or time, or?
So it was either 2006 or 2007. I think I had just graduated high school, and I was selling my SL1 box because I had just bought a 57, and that's why I Googled it earlier, because I saw your preliminary list of questions, and I was trying to figure that out. And I had bought a 57, and I put my SL1 on Craigslist, which was also like a new thing at the time. And he hit me up and was like, hey, can I come buy that right now? I'm in SLO. And that's how I met him. And we just kind of stayed in touch. He had just moved to SLO like that week to go to Cal Poly. So maybe I was still in high school because he's a couple years older than me, but I don't know. It was around that time, and we just stayed in touch. And he was working with a company in town and was doing a bunch of mobile and club stuff. And he reached out to me and was like, oh, you want to do this gig? Like, we're short on DJs. And he like circled me in, and I was like 19 at the time, I guess, when I started DJing with him. And then we were just hanging out during the week because we didn't have day jobs at the time. And he was the one that put me on to making edits. He was up on, I think it was Apple software called like Soundtrack Pro. And we were making like super janky edits, but he had been making them since high school, I think. I don't know if you've ever come across a Chext edit. CHEXT. It stood for Coleman Howard Extended. And it was like intro, outro edits that he made in high school. So I remember when I met him, he laced me with like a USB drive with 50 of them on there. And when I played him, I was like, oh my God, my gig was so easy. I had all these intros. And so he started showing me how to do it. And that's really how I got started editing, was him and I just fucking around making stupid mashups.
And then how long did it take before you got Ableton and you guys started figuring that stuff out?
I mean, that was probably 08, 09, I would imagine. Yeah, it had to have been. And then I think I was doing it for like a year. And once I learned how to edit and became like a little more efficient at it, that's just what I would do. I would be walking through the grocery store and hear a song and be like, I don't think I have an edit of this. And I would go home and make an edit of it. And then I just kind of compiled, a few hundred of those, would share them with all my DJ buddies. And then I think somebody said, why don't you just send them to the record pools? They'll probably post that stuff. And I sent out like MediaFire download links to all the pools. And I think DMS was one of the only people that even hit me back. And it was Jason, and someone said like, hey, there's like 20 of your edits up on the DMS homepage. And Jason like hit me up and was like basically my point of contact at DMS at that time. And so we set up a Dropbox folder or something, and I would just lace them up with files. And then eventually after, a year or so of that, I joined the team and started doing it for them as like a paid partner in this.
I remember, I want to say I talked to Jason recently and he brought this story up, and one of his favorite edits not favorite edits, but one of the edits that you did that really caught his attention was Dr. Dre, Let It Ride. And
really?
Because there was never an instrumental for it. And he just thought you were, at the time when you sent it, was just so genius that you used the karaoke file to kind of make that intro, and it blew his mind. It's like, oh my God, I never thought of that, and you were one of the first people to really send that in. And that edit still, I think that's the only one I have,
Right.
I don't know if I ever got a good intro of that besides the one you did.
Yeah. I mean, that was obviously, having the instrumental makes it so much easier to create an edit for something, but then if that's not available, I would go find a karaoke instrumental. And I think this was like before instrumental remakes were like a thing where you could go on YouTube and it says like, you know, whatever, Metro Boomin type beat or whatever, you know. And then that kind of, when there wasn't a karaoke instrumental or it was something brand new, because obviously when I was working for DMS, Jason would hit me with like 10 files on a Friday and say, here's all the new music this week, we need intros. Yeah. And so it would basically require me going through the file and trying to find a kick or a snare that wasn't contaminated with vocals and then just kind of remake it. Sometimes it worked better than others, but it just kind of forced me to get creative with how I was making an instrumental or an intro or whatever, which is fun. I always liked the challenge in that, but I also liked doing the word plays and the transitions and that kind of shit too.
You taught me a lot of those little tricks. I know when I'd come up and visit, you would be like, no, you got to just go through here. And it forced me to start going through the file, you know, piece by piece, or just looking at the actual waveform and going, oh, here's this snare that's still available that it has no words on it or whatever. Just piecing apart together your own
intro. Doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, obviously I like it to be as clean as possible, but in all reality, no one's hearing the intro. You're just using it to time the mix properly. You know what I mean? So if it's not perfect, that's okay, as long as it serves its purpose.
But you had also gotten really creative with just finding, you know, say Skrillex, finding that he, for the most part, would always use the same drums. And so you could kind of build around a dubstep track or whatever, just using a similar pack.
For sure. I mean, not even a pack. Sometimes you can just take the sounds right out of a song. I forget what, it's like a Young Money song. I think it's Right Above It. It's like an old Lil Wayne Young Money song. And there's like some really bare bones drums and snares in there that I used for a ton of edits in like the 74, 78 BPM range. And I would just warp them and I would reuse them all the time because they were like super clean and there was no melody on it or anything. It was just a dry kick and bass line and snare. But now there's all these tools like Splice and these sample packs that you can get that would probably make it so much easier than it was 10 years ago when we were doing this.
Oh yeah. Of course. I use Splice all the time still. If I need like a little sweeper, or even if I'm making like a bootleg and I'm kind of like, you know what, this build is kind of weird, I could probably build one real quick that sounds a little better. I'll go in there and just kind of reconstruct it a little bit, you know?
Yeah, that's great.
My subscription just renewed for Splice, so I need to go on there. I think I just paid for, I don't know what I just paid for, but no, it's great. They have so many tools and so many, tons and tons and tons of options.
Maybe they'll pay us since we mentioned it.
This episode is brought to you by Splice.
So we just talked a little bit about your connection with C-Flow, and you have so many great stories with him. And I think that maybe we should even use you dressed as C-Flow for the album art for the show. Your Halloween costume, I think that would be a big hit. But let's talk about another person you've been connected with, and that's Mac J. So you want to tell us a little bit about that, how that relationship started?
Yeah, Mackenzie, he's a good friend of mine. I met him probably shortly after meeting C-Flow, I want to say. I think he hit me up with a MySpace message is like how he reached out to me, which at the time was like a thing. Yeah, and he was like interested in learning about DJing, and I think I sold him a couple of old turntables and a mixer because it must have just been after I had got my 57 and I had like probably some shitty 3-channel Newmark mixer sitting in my room and some like Stanton turntables. He bought that and he started learning how to DJ and kind of went the same route I did early on as far as like doing the fraternity sorority exchanges. We live in a college town, so there's no shortage of college events to do. And then he kind of took a left turn and started getting deep into the production, and obviously it worked out really well for him. So yeah, he's made a great career out of music and DJing. So it's cool to see. He just texted me when we got on the call and asked, what is the best record to play at a strip club? So I don't know what he's doing right now, but something fun.
I mean, wouldn't it be the obvious bands that make her dance?
Yeah, bands that make her dance, or like Pour Some Sugar on Me, all the cliche strip club songs.
Pony?
Pony.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, I'll hit him with a list. We'll see what he's working on.
I feel like every time I play Pony at a wedding, instantly somebody breaks out the chair and starts grinding on one or the other, right?
Somebody busts out a chair.
Somebody busts out a chair, the guy's grinding on the girl or the girl's grinding on the guy, or everyone takes turn on everybody.
Are you still doing the NFL theme song football toss?
I just pitched it to somebody recently, but I don't sell it as much that I used to. But it works from time to time. It's funny that you say that because nowadays I feel that I've completely stopped doing bouquet and garter. If we do it at all, it's just the bouquet.
Due to COVID?
Garter's just weird, bro. You're giving away the girl's panties to your boy. I don't know. Everything about it's weird to me.
Yeah, I agree. So weird.
Hey, let's take it off and throw her panties. Like it's her lingerie. I know it's not her panties, but throw it
like
over
mom and dad are there, and they're like,
yeah,
he's underneath the thing. So everyone's just is like, it's cringy that we stopped doing it.
Yeah,
but the girls love to fight over that dumb bouquet. So bouquets it is.
So one of the things we really haven't talked about yet, and I'm sure a lot of people want to hear about, is kind of Club Cannon. That's your thing, and if you want to kind of start, and maybe Drew, you know a lot of the story too, and I know a lot of the story, but if you guys kind of want to share how your guys' relationship started and Club Cannon and all that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go, Pat, but for the most part, I just know that we've been friends through DMS, and I would just go up there and play and really hang out. It wasn't even about playing. Half the time I was just going to hang out for a weekend. Next thing I know, you're starting to create this new amazing product that I don't know either one of us really realized what it was going to become.
Yeah, I mean, it was totally it started out as something for myself to use at my shows, and then you wanted one, Jason wanted one, Soul wanted one, all my friends wanted one, and then their friends wanted one. So it turned into this. I mean, it was accidental, if we're being honest. I didn't go into it with the intentions of starting a company or doing it full time. I certainly didn't think I would be doing it how we're doing it now. But it was all pretty organic, and it seems to have become sort of a popular choice for DJs, nightclubs. And it evolved further than the DJ scene. Now we serve a lot of sports franchises and theme parks and stuff outside the music industry, but it's all, related to entertainment.
Can you mention some of the touring artists that use Club Cannon products?
Off the top of my head, I would have to look, but we've been lucky enough to serve some big tours like Lil Baby, Trippie Redd. There was like a Game of Thrones concert tour experience that they did that we provided all the CO2 for that. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few of them. I don't really remember off the top of my head, and most of the time, a lot of our customers are production companies, so I don't always know where the stuff is going. But we just sent out a bunch of stuff for the Drake and Kanye show at the LA Coliseum this week, so that'll be cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't even know. That's how little I'm paying attention to the news. I didn't even realize they were doing a show or they were friendly anymore.
Yeah, so apparently they're friends again, and they're doing like a combo show at the Coliseum. I think it's tomorrow, because we sent the stuff out last week, and I heard they're building some crazy stage in the middle of the Coliseum that required everything on site a week ahead of time.
I'll never forget when Chester from Linkin Park passed away. I learned from Donk because you were doing their Linkin Park's their tour.
Yeah, that was a sad one. That was super bummer, because I remember we got the order for a bunch of stuff last minute, and I stayed here late one night to get everything boxed up because they had to have it the following morning or something. There was something goofy, and we got everything ready, and we were waiting for the UPS guy to show up the next morning, and I got a phone call, and they're like, hey, we need to cancel that order. I didn't know who it was for when we sold it, but I asked, and he said, oh, just look at the news. Like, I don't know if it's out there yet, but we just got word that this tour is going to be canceled. So if you can not ship that stuff, and we'll settle up later. And so I obviously went, and I don't even think TMZ had the article up yet, but it was moments later that we found out. So that was a bummer. But
Well, I'd love to rewind just a little bit and talk about some of the early days and, just how you transitioned from just doing basically a handheld gun for DJs into some of these now massive jets that, your huge stadiums and giant tours are doing, which is more of what you're focused on now. And
yeah, that's fair. Obviously it started with the handheld. It's the easiest to use. It's the most affordable. It's probably the most popular product just because it's an easy thing for a DJ to grab and take to the club with him or take to the wedding and sell the package to the bride and groom. But shortly after we started moving a lot of handhelds, people would ask like, hey, do you have any stationary products that, we want to just press a button and have them shoot from the ceiling or whatever. So I had very little experience with electronics and circuit board design and DMX protocols and all the stuff that's required for developing a product like that. So I reached out to a company called Doug Fleener Design, who is about 10 minutes from us. I went to high school with Doug Fleener's daughter, and he's one of the inventors of the DMX protocol, and they make a ton of specialty products. And I just reached out to him and said, hey, we're interested in making a product from the ground up that, would require all this technology that you guys specialize in. Would you be able to help us out? And surprisingly, he was totally willing, and we spent a bunch of time figuring out what we needed to do. We did a lot of trial and error testing components, and it was all new to me at the time. But with their help, it helped me learn the ins and outs of making a product from scratch, considering the fabrication that's required for all the sheet metal work and the electronics and the components and the nuts and bolts and the packaging, all the stuff you don't think about when you buy a product. Like you go buy a cell phone, somebody had to figure out the box that it goes in and the plastic wrap and the label on the box and all of that. So that was the first product we did. And then it became, I don't know how much experience you guys have with DMX control, but most people, it goes over their head. And there was no convenient way to just trigger a CO2 jet. So I talked to a friend of mine, Alex, and I said, let's just make a button that when you press it, it sends out the DMX signal, and it's super easy. You don't need to learn how to program anything. You don't need to fiddle with any upfaders or computer software. It's literally just a button. So we made
I see that button everywhere now.
Oh yeah,
it's so dope. I see it in all my DJs feeds. It'll be like a close-up of the button and then the CO2 going off, and I like how that's evolved as well. But sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, so that was just the big red button, and then that evolved into a 4-button controller where you could trigger your jets at different times or trigger your jets and your confetti separately. And then that evolved into, I wish there was a way to know how much CO2 is left in your tank, right? Because that's the biggest problem with using CO2 effects. You never know your tank level, especially with the handheld. You use it regularly. It's always a guessing game when the tank's going to run out.
That's the number one question is how long does it last? And I go, well, it depends if you're a crazy person and just hold it down, or you know how to maybe pump it and make it last a little bit longer.
Yep. In 2018, we introduced a product that has a function where you program in the size of your tank, how many tanks you have hooked up, how many jets you have hooked up, and it gives you a runtime. And as you're using it throughout the night, it'll tell you how much CO2 is left in your tank, which became invaluable. Like I was using it at Mother's, and it was the most useful thing ever because I could show up on Saturday not knowing how much CO2 was used Friday night if I need to change the tank or not. But now with this product, I could just turn it on when I get there and say, oh, there's 38 seconds left in this tank. I don't need to change it, or I don't need to change it until later in the night. So it evolved into that. And then this year, during COVID, we had so much free time to spend working on new products and new ideas. We took that concept and integrated it into the big red button. So now the big red button has a screen in the middle of it that can do all sorts of fancy stuff. So it'll tell you how much CO2 you have left. It'll display a word. It can light up any color you want. You can adjust what DMX channels are being sent. So it's a pretty advanced product for just being one button. And then obviously we have the Showmaster controller, which is basically a full-fledged console for triggering all sorts of special effects products.
And that thing is incredible. I've seen it up close. That it's a beast, and you really designed and created it all from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, we spent pretty much all of 2020 developing that product, and we did it all in-house. So we're pretty stoked on how it came out, considering, you know, the chassis design, the interface, the touch screen, the buttons, everything was pretty much customized to how we wanted it. There is nothing on the market that does what that product does. So a lot of the components we had to have made for us because there was nothing that did what we wanted it to do. We spent a lot of time on that, and we're pretty excited to start getting it out in the wild.
It's awesome.
It's barely hitting market right now, right?
I was just going to say, you just did a show or something, like a trade show or something I saw you at.
Yeah, so we released that product in the middle of September. And we sold our entire inventory in like the first 2 weeks. And so we're still working on restocking it. We're going to have more available next week. But with all the supply chain issues, keeping stuff in stock is harder than it's ever been.
Totally. One thing I wanted to ask you, and you can see if anybody's watching this on YouTube, you can see I've got a Club Cannon shirt on, and this was the original logo. And Drew's got a Club Cannon hat on. That was the original logo. And now you guys are both wearing shirts that's the 2.0. And so you went through a big rebranding process where you rebranded all of your products and your logo, the website, everything. You know, we see from time to time when DJs rebrand themselves, you know, they change a DJ name. Can you just go over a little bit about that process and why you did it and how you kind of went about it and why it was for a positive for you?
It's definitely a big undertaking to do a rebranding. We even threw around the idea of changing the company name at the same time, which that's a big pill to swallow, right? Because you have the recognition of Club Cannon, and we have this customer base. Changing the name would be probably pretty bold. It's tricky because the name Club Cannon came about from our first product, you know, being used in a club, and it obviously evolved much past that single product. The name just kind of stuck. That doesn't really represent what we're doing these days, but it has that recognition because we've been doing it for the better part of 10 years now. But the rebranding came about just because we were seeing a lot of imitation, counterfeit, fake products that were kind of knocking off our logo. And the old logo, as you see, has the handheld product and the big plume, when our product offerings are much more than that now. Or in 2018, when we did the rebranding, it was controllers, it was stationary products, it was handheld, it was more than just one product. That was kind of the reasoning behind it. And obviously it was a big undertaking, changing the logo, changing all the silkscreen on the products, redoing the entire website. All your printed materials need to change, all your social media stuff needs to change. I definitely think it was worthwhile because now it's a little more bold than it was before, and a little more recognizable, I feel like.
Well, 100%. I mean, you have the color. I talk with branding people all the time, you know, that color, which that bright green, you know, nothing's really, it's very recognizable right out the gate. The logo itself is recognizable. I think it fits in social media and just that kind of, you know, circle that we're going for avatar wise all the time, a lot better. But I like what you did with it. I think it ended up being a great thing. Have you seen a lot of positive from it?
I mean, it's hard to credit the rebranding to anything in particular, but I mean, the company has only grown since we did the rebranding. So it definitely didn't hurt us, I wouldn't say. And we got a lot of feedback after we launched it, people saying that they liked it. And I mean, the main thing that was more important to me, more than changing the logo or the colors, was we redid the whole website, like from the ground up. We had it designed by a professional company. We had it coded specifically for us. We weren't shopping for preset themes on whatever WordPressthemes.com. We wanted something that was geared specifically for us, for our customers, for our product offerings, and being able to best serve the customer. So that was the most important thing for me, is giving the customer a good shopping experience on our website. And I think we accomplished that with the new site that we launched.
Something I'd like to ask is, in this process, is there something you could recommend to somebody to look out for or to just be aware of as they're, if they decide to go through a rebrand or something they're looking for in a logo or color wise or anything that you would recommend to, just DJs on that helps stick out or helps you stand out? Something that in this process you've really you made you were going through all these different ideas, right? People sending you different logo templates and ideas. What would you say down the road was really what stuck out looking back on it?
The one thing that was really important to me when we did the whole package, and it was written into one of the requirements when we basically shopped it out, but we wanted a refresh to the logo and we wanted an icon. And I think an icon is really important, especially now with all, like you said, the social media, the circle profile picture. You need to have something that you can use in a square aspect ratio so that you can use it in those, your avatar on Instagram or whatever. And I think it gives you better placement for like apparel. Like if you look on the sweatshirt that you're wearing, I don't know if I have it, but you have the chest icon and then you have the shoulder icon or text logo. I just like having more than one layout. Obviously, the text logo is thin and long, so it's not going to look good when you go try and set your Instagram profile picture to your logo. You're not even going to be able to see it. So,
right, like this logo, trying to cram this into that Instagram was probably difficult.
Yeah.
I've been kind of thinking about doing something a little different lately, but I just don't know the direction I want to go. So this is all interesting to me, hearing you kind of talk about all of it.
Yeah. So I think having an icon is important. Another thing that's not as crucial, but be aware when you're creating a logo, how many colors you're using, just because when it's time to go make your t-shirts, if you have 6 colors in your logo, and you find out you have to get a separate screen made in an ink change and a separate pass. And now those t-shirts are going to cost you 5 times more than they would if it was a 1 or 2 color logo. So I would highly recommend working with a professional that does branding stuff, and they can give you a branding guide with all your hex colors and your placement. Like if you look at a real branding guide, it'll tell you which logo to use on a white background, which logo to use on a black background, what not to do with your logo. Don't skew the logo. If you're going to put our logo, make sure that the red color is this hex code, so everything stays consistent and professional. Because
fonts,
right? All of that, it's all tied to you. So you want it to be the best it can be. You don't want to skimp on your branding, for sure.
And with the website, what are maybe some, learning that you've had along the years? Is there any tips on the website?
Not really. Like tips on managing a website, you mean?
I don't know where I'm going with this, but I feel your website's super clean. It's a little bit different than what a DJ is going to go. I guess I'm just saying, yeah, clean wise and exactly.
Less is more, I would say.
Look at Apple. It's like there's an Apple logo on a completely white box, and everybody knows what it is.
Right. Exactly.
No, I think that's great. I think the new logo and everything that you've done with it is awesome, and all the products you guys have rolled out are great. We have the new button at the club. We have
how's that working out?
It's good. It's good. I
see it in your 360 videos. I can just see like a flashing rainbow sitting next to your turntables.
Yeah, the jets are great. They shoot, it's so far they shoot, out in the crowd. So it's pretty cool. Like people standing like in the back of the room are getting hit by it too. And sometimes when we get some videos from back there, it's like you really get the full experience of it. You can
feel the whole temperature change in the room probably when that comes through.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's funny, like some people, I can always tell when people have never been to the club too, or like first timers, because it goes off for the first time of the night. They're like, it's like over their heads. So it's pretty funny. But
as a DJ, like I remember we put a 4-jet system in at Mother's, and after we installed that, I only wanted to DJ at places that had CO2 systems, because like it adds that wow factor, and it really makes you look better when you're DJing, right?
Yeah,
it adds to the show. So I remember playing gigs after that, and like it didn't have CO2, and it's just one of those things that I always want at my gig after having it. Some people might clown on it and say it's cheesy, and I've heard plenty of podcasts where people refer to the cryo and confetti as cheesy, but I think we can all agree it definitely improves the experience for the club goers, which is the goal, right?
I 100% agree. I think that if you're in a big club and you don't have it, I just think that why would you not? It adds so much. And not only that, like if it is getting hot in the room or if it's a summer day, and it's functional too, because it cools everything down for a few minutes, and if you're in a room that having a hard time getting them going, and you start playing a little more up tempo, and you hit them with the CO2, it's like it's just that extra oomph to like get those songs to go over too.
For sure.
It adds value. Anything that adds value to the night is worth having.
Absolutely.
We sell it well for my weddings. I mean, I ended up buying 4 50-pound tanks. I have 2 25-pound tanks. If a couple's cool, we'll bring out a 25-pound tank just to hype up the room. It always adds so much. A lot of times I'll just throw it in for free if they've already added on a lot.
Yeah. I hear a lot of customers say that they use it as just like a bonus when someone's buying a big package. They just throw it in as a courtesy, and it takes the show to a whole new level.
It definitely helps. I mean, like hip hop songs, when you got like a vocal break or something, like Cardi B,
what's my favorite word?
Yeah, anything like that.
I've never used it like that, but that's cool.
Yeah, so we'll do that. We'll do like little breaks like that especially if it's a night, I feel like at the club where like we just have some nights where like the up tempo stuff doesn't go over as well. So I'm playing a little more hip hop. We'll get a little more creative with how we're using it, and it's still good. Like it's still adding value to the night. I wouldn't know what to do at the club if we didn't have it. The effects wouldn't be as good. It's like a complete thing. It's like a finishing.
Well, now if you went and DJ'd there and they said, "Oh, we got rid of the CO2," you would feel like something's missing, and you would probably be bummed, right?
Completely.
Yeah.
But what's great is I can't stress enough that it just adds value to the experience of the night. When you can add value to the experience of the night, that's how you keep people coming back. It's like a no-brainer to me, but it's hard sometimes because you really have to explain it to people, because people don't get it. Like some owners don't get it. Luckily, I play for a great owner right now, and he's a DJ as well. So it was totally something he wanted and always wanted. So from the moment he bought the place,
it could pick up any party. Question: I would say this is mostly a DJ podcast. What are some products that DJs should be looking out for when they go check out the website and stuff, maybe that you would want to push?
The most common would be just the handheld MK2. That is the latest and greatest handheld product that we offer. It might look a little bit different than ones that your friends have, but we basically just built a housing and chassis around it and integrated a handle. So now the operator can use 2 hands when they're using it.
And it's a lot quieter than any other competition. I feel some clubs that I play at have some of the knockoffs, and they always complain. The number one thing is it's so loud.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we got from customers early on, is just it's so loud. How can we make it quieter? And originally we didn't have a muffler built into the barrel, and when we kept getting that feedback, we said we need to figure out a way to make this quieter, more tolerable. So a lot of products on the market don't have the muffler, so it's really loud. I mean, it'll make your ears ring. So we spent a lot of time developing a system to where not only is the noise generation reduced dramatically, but there's fresh airflow that we introduced with the CO2 to prevent any dry ice pieces from getting shot into the crowd. So that was it's a small detail, but it was a lot of work to get that right.
I definitely applaud you for it, because I remember the transition between, because I've had, I want to say, at least one of almost every iteration of this gun. So I have seen the progression. And something else that you added over part of the time that I love is just the quick connect.
Yeah, the quick release hose makes it a lot easier to set up and tear down.
Those little things. So If they wanted to look into getting some of the jets, the stationary jets,
The stationary jets, I would recommend the Microjet MK2. That is same jet that Fuse has in the club he's talking about, except we released an updated version a couple months ago, and it now has DMX control built right in, so you could get it and plug one of our standalone buttons right into them to trigger them, or any DMX controller. So they're pretty easy to set up and operate. And we got all the goodies to make it happen for you.
And do these need to be mounted on trussing? Can you put them on a stage? How does that work out?
You can do either. So they're, when you take them out of the box, they have feet on them, so you could set them on your downstage. You could, if you want to mount them on your trussing, there's 2 through holes to mount clamps. We offer clamps as an option. So if you want to put them up on some trussing, you can do that. If you want to fasten them to a ceiling or any solid surface, you can do that. Pretty versatile.
So,
But they'd be all right set on a stage?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
one of the things I noticed the most is when he opened the club that I play at, they already had some knockoffs there when he took over ownership, and we used those for a while when we got the Club Cannon. The difference in quality is night and day difference. And like I was saying earlier, the distance it throws and it shoots is just amazing compared to the knockoff stuff.
Well, that's good to hear.
All built in the USA.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's been pretty cool to, you know, I'm a proud friend. I always when I'm watching like an NFL game and I see like players running out on the field, I'm like, oh, you see that? My friend makes that. So it's always cool. And people are like, he makes it? Like what? And then I like have to explain and pull up the IG and show them, and like it's pretty cool. But it's been neat to see the progression, the business, you know, from where you started to what it is now, and just what you've done with it and everything. I mean, it's awesome to see. It's like just watching your friend do something cool. I mean, I think it's awesome what you've done with it all, and the products that you're putting out are, you know, top of the line products in this industry, and it's cool.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for being my test dummies. Whenever I send Drew some new shit, I say, hey, try this out.
Well, dude, just everything he said, you know, I'm always I'm rolling deep on all my Club Cannon gear, and I'll roll out somewhere. They're like, what is that? Are you sponsored by that, or why are you wearing that? And I, you know, of course, have to run through the story all the time, but always repping hard, especially the old school. You know, I got that throwback.
That OG.
I like the OG throwback.
Totally. So one of the things that we've been talking about too, and we've had some guys on, is the thing to eat when they come to your town. Now, obviously, you're out in California, and we know the Mexican food is on a different level of good out there. But the slow is the tri-tip, right?
Yeah, most people, like, I can be anywhere. I could be on an airplane. I could be in Vegas. I could be in Cincinnati, and someone would ask me, where are you from? I could say San Luis Obispo, and they would say, oh, well, that's where Firestone Grill is, the tri-tip sandwich. Like, it's crazy. It's happened to me so many times. I'll be having a random conversation with somebody on the other side of the country, and they know about it. So yeah, tri-tip sandwiches are popular out here. I don't eat them very often, but that's just because I grew up here and probably had it 500 times. But it's probably the same way where you guys are at.
Yeah, I've been to a couple times with you, and they are awesome. They're delicious. But I would say my number one spot when I come to visit you is we're going to the sushi spot, which I don't remember the name, but anytime that's where I want to go. That sushi spot is money.
Yeah, that's where I'm taking anybody that's coming to visit that doesn't care about tri-tip. So where do you guys take people when they come to visit?
Well, so I try to, like with Drew, he's been here a couple times now. So I've tried to hit him with a couple different things. Anytime somebody, you know, makes their way into town, I feel like it's the least I can do is make myself available to them. Like, you come here, I'll drop what I'm doing for the day, and I'm going to show you around because I want you to see I like it here. And nothing drives me nuts more is when people go, it sucks here. And I'm like, you could go anywhere and you'd probably still be miserable because you're just a miserable person. Like I want to show you why I like it here. And like, Drew's been here quite 2 or 3 times now, and We've done
Nice.
quite a few different things, but obviously we've got the Skyline Chili, and Drew only got that this time. There's the Jeff Ruby Steakhouse. It's a local chain. He's got 4 in Cincinnati. They've expanded the last few years. He's got like one in Lexington now, one in Columbus, one in Nashville. That's the only place I haven't taken Drew. That's Cincinnati. We had some Grater's ice cream, which is like Oprah claims it's her favorite ice cream, and that's a Cincinnati thing. Took him to a couple local breweries. It's more just I try to take people to like the spots that I think are cool locally that I would want to hang out at, because that's what makes the place unique, you know, like the stuff that isn't the touristy stuff. Like, yeah,
The insider scoop.
and I appreciate that when I go to somewhere. That's why this time too, because I haven't really been out to California that I didn't have something going on already that I wasn't out there for. So I'm pumped to go visit with Drew, and the things we're going to be DJing and playing some different spots. And I'm just pumped to like do a day in the life of Drew Pierce. You know, if we got to eat Taco Bell, we got to eat Taco Bell one day.
No, we gotta spend only Sacagawea coins
Dude.
that way.
What was that trip? We went out to Vegas and we woke up. We were sharing a hotel room, and I was like, "Oh, dude, we missed our flight." And you were like, "Bullshit,
Every
we
Vegas
missed
trip.
bullshit, we missed our flight. We're fucking going right now." We were out of the hotel room, sprinting through the lobby, got into a cab, said get us to the airport. Somehow we made it on flight. We got back, and I just remember we went to Taco Bell right when we got back.
Why am I being associated with Taco Bell so much?
It's only so funny. My Taco Bell was a little dig at Drew from the last episode with Audio One, because they were sitting there talking about how, you know, the Mexican and tacos were amazing in California, and Drew's sitting there sipping out of a Taco Bell cup.
Oh my god!
Oh, I'm getting ran under the bus here. I was in a rush, and I'm on I'm on the Oprah diet. We mentioned Oprah earlier. It's season 5 right now, where I'm on the fat kid diet, and then it goes back down to skinny. So I'm jumping up and down on which season I'm in, but I'm on the fat season right now.
So Drew's gotten his taste of some Cincinnati, and one of these days you got to come out here. But I don't know, Drew. What's the spots you would say that you like to do? Is there anything for you?
Hollywood and LA so random. It depends who it is, right? I try and some people love the beach, some people love the city. You know, me and my family just recently have been trying to just do touristy shit here in California. So we actually went on a TMZ tour in Hollywood. We just booked one of those cheesy TMZ tours, and it was fun as hell. We just went, and the lady walked around. She's like, "Oh, this was the club Drake goes to," or "This is this," and it was random and fun, you know, something different. It's a big enough city where we could get lost at the beach. We get lost in the city. It really very depends on the person.
I can't remember. Donk, is there an In-N-Out burger by you?
Yeah.
All Cali.
Yeah. Do you guys? So some people are like, In-N-Out's trash. Like, and I'm like, I think it's pretty good. And they're like, that's because you don't eat it all the time. And I'm like, maybe. I mean, people think Skyline's trash, but I eat it all the time. Drew got it.
In-N-Out was never like, it never got me super excited. I'll eat it, but I don't go out of my way to eat it.
And that's fair. Like, but you answered that. It never got me excited from like the jump. So
I mean, every time I drive by, I think I could eat a burger right now, and then I look in the drive-through line, is like 50 cars, and I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going to go wait for that. I just don't have the patience to wait for it.
You like a lot of Mexican food up there. You got some good spots.
Oh, yeah. We went to Tacos de Mexico. That's my spot. We went there last time you were here. We went and sat on the patio and had some Modelos and some burritos and tacos and all that.
Yeah, I've had it a couple times. It's good. I mean, Slow has a lot of good food. I think every college town has good food, honestly.
You have to.
I don't know what it is, but college towns always have good food.
I'm with you though. Like my girlfriend, she loves Chick-fil-A, and there's one close to the house, but it's like the only one that's close around here. So there's always like a massive line. And I'm like, look, I know you really like this. I know you got your hopes up for it, but no food is worth waiting 35 minutes in a drive-through line for. I'm sorry. Like I really busted her chops the other day. we were like driving, we were on a tight schedule, and I was like, oh, we can go get some Chick-fil-A. And we got there, and I was like, sorry, it ain't happening. And I hated to do it. We got it. We made up for it. She got it the other night. Don't worry.
Nice.
As long as it's not Sunday.
I've still never even had it.
It's pretty
good.
Excuse
There's
me.
not a round at all up there?
I think there's one like 30 minutes away, but I'm not driving 30 minutes for fast food. Maybe one day if I'm passing through on a.
It's not that tight, but I don't know. We have one right next door, so I feel like I eat there way too much.
I think one of the things that I'll say about Chick-fil-A, it's pretty consistent. It's always, I don't know about yours out there, but the ones here, like the food comes looking like the picture. That's one thing I will say.
That's legit.
We got a couple things here left on this list that I want to make sure we don't skip over. One, we had, how's the golf game coming?
That is always evolving. I feel like I have like a really good couple weeks and then a really shitty like month. So I was on a tear for a minute. I felt like I was getting better. And then the last like month, I just feel like I'm getting worse. You know how it is, Fuse.
Yeah.
You'll go out there and shoot like a couple good rounds and you think you're like a good golfer. And then you go out the next time and shoot 100.
For me, one of the things that changed kind of my focus when I play golf is my buddy Murph, which you both know. He's a pretty good golfer. He was like, look, you suck at golf. It just is what it is. And I'm just like, yeah, I know. But he was like, here's what you need to do. He was like, you need to stop focusing on the game as a whole and focus on taking good shots like individually. And then go, I had a lot of good shots today. Like I didn't play well as far as the score goes. And once I kind of started doing that, just focus on hitting good shots is when I've actually started to play better. Thinking about the game differently is
for sure.
Do both of you hit the driving range a lot to perfect that, or
I was playing in a league.
It's like league bowling. They have league golf.
Yeah. So
you have matching shirts.
2020, I picked up. We know you don't have to, but I played golf for a while, and then I kind of gave it up because I got so frustrated with it. And it's not a cheap sport by any means to play and to go out and suck at.
For sure.
I gave it up for a while, and then the COVID stuff happened, and it was the only thing that you could do. So I was picking it up and playing a lot more. And then towards the early in this year, we played in a league, and so it was every Tuesday you played 9 holes, and I think it was like 12 guys in this league, and then every week the foursome is different. So you're paired up with a different group.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, if you get a good league, it's a lot of fun. Like if you get a fun group that everybody kind of drinks and hangs out, it's the drinking. They don't have to be drinking to be fun, but you know what I mean? Like if everybody's kind of on the same page with it. Some of them you can get into one and like guys are too serious and it's just not fun. And then the other thing that sucks is if people are just lying about their scores too, or it's pretty obvious.
Is it individual scorekeeping or is it like a scramble?
So the way this league did it is you played your first round and that was the handicapping week. So what sucks is a lot of guys would go out there and play shitty on purpose.
Sandbag it. Yep.
Yeah. So that sucked. But
all right, quick question here. I know Donk is the only guy that will text me and say, "Hey, bro, why are you still rocking that old tech? I still can't hear you on that phone." If I decide not to buy a new iPhone, he's number one going, "Hey, I don't know. My phone doesn't allow you to text me anymore because you're still rocking that old tech." I blame you. My wife blames you, and I blame you for all the purchases that I've been forced to make.
Don't lie, dude. You're the first guy to text me the morning of an Apple event like, "Hey, do you have the stream on yet?"
Of course you know that I'm fucking with you. I expect you to do it, and I have to tell my wife, "Hey, look, Donk said that I gotta buy the new phone, dude. I can't be rocking some old ass tech." So
listen, I gotta talk to him, and if I don't have the new phone, I can't talk to him.
I can't risk my text messages coming through green.
That's 100%. Everybody on the podcast can relate. Anytime we say old tech, that is, I will give that to Pat. That is his line that I've stolen. what is your new tech? You are always up on game, dude. You always know the new shit. What's some new tech you're rocking right now? Let's start with the computer. I know you're not DJing, which is ironic that you're always the one that's pushing me on new tech, and you rock a 2011 MacBook Air.
So tight. Yep.
which I will also preface with, that's how I first reached out to you, was on Twitter. You'd posted something about a MacBook Air being able to DJ. And I think I like sent you a private.
It was on the DMs. Serato forums.
Yeah, I slid into your DMs and I was like, "Yo, you could DJ with an Air? Tell me more." And that was way before we were friends, but I remember that was one of the first times I reached out to you.
Yeah, it wasn't even my MacBook. My brother bought a MacBook Air, and I was like, "Let me see if I can put Serato on that thing." And I did, and I tested it out, and it worked. And then I posted it on the forums. I was like, "Yeah, it works." And then 6 months later, we were at PF Chang's in LA after going to NAMM or something. This had to have been
this is Vegas.
Oh,
that was the first DMS one. Yeah, it was the first DMS one ever.
And you were like, "Oh yeah, we've talked on Serato forum DMs or something." Anyways, yeah.
Well, to me, that 11-inch laptop, that Air, was the perfect Serato computer, period, because it's so fucking small. It just allowed you to do what you needed to do. It had the screen. It's like having, what's that, Denon Prime 2 or Prime Go or whatever the fuck it is. It's basically a Prime Go.
I think it's the best DJ laptop just because of the size. I don't want a 15-inch laptop in front of me, in front of a crowd. I used to have a 15-inch MacBook Pro and then a 13-inch MacBook Pro. And then when I figured out that you could just get a maxed out 11-inch Air for $600 or whatever, that's the only way to roll. And I mean, ideally, the Denon Prime or whatever all these new controllers are that have a computer built into them where you load your files is great. But I'm always going to have the keyboard because I do everything on the keyboard. Someone requests a song or I have an oh shit moment, I need to get out, I can type something in quickly and get where I need to be. Trying to navigate on an all-in-one I don't think would be the move for me. That is a 2012 MacBook Air i7, 8 gigs of RAM, 512 SSD. I think I'm using, 300 gigs or something with music, but that's.
I used to DJ video with that thing. It worked for everything. But
it's strictly a Serato computer. It just lives in my DJ bag. And once a week I pop it open. I have a Dropbox folder where I used to download music on my iMac and sort through it. And I would just throw it in a Dropbox. Once a week I would pop open my DJ laptop, let it sync, and then I would just roll out to my gig.
I'm just teasing you because I know you are always busting my balls on having the new latest Mac or whatever. So that's funny to me that you're still rocking. Of all of the things, you know what's funny is your DJ laptop is what is out of basically, old.
For sure. It's going to be 10 years old in a month. I bought an M1 Air that I was planning on using for a DJ laptop, but I don't think I'm going to be going back to DJing clubs anytime soon. So I gave that to Sanella. She's rocking that.
So what's in the studio? What are you rocking? I know you got the new M1 that just dropped, right? 14? Yeah.
So I had the M1 Mac Mini base model, and that was fine. But ideally, I just want the iMac, right? The new Pro iMac or whatever. But I couldn't wait. I had to get the new 14-inch Pro. So I don't even remember what the specs are. Let me look. 14-inch Pro, M1 Max chip, 64 gigs of RAM, 2 terabyte SSD.
Damn, that's a beast, bro.
Yeah.
Are you noticing any difference with the Macs? Because, I know we geek out on this kind of shit and we watch a lot of the same YouTubers. And most of the stuff that I've seen, they're saying unless you're really doing graphics processing, hardcore graphics editing or anything like that, the Pro.
I think Fuse got probably the best bang for your buck. Getting just a baseline M1 with a big hard drive and 16 gigs of RAM is the move.
That's what I got.
Yep.
But like with this one, I just maxed it out because the one thing I did notice when I was running the M1 Mac Mini is my RAM was always being used up, and it was like using the swap memory or whatever. Just because I have, 10 apps open at all times at work. I got spreadsheets open, email open, 50 Safari tabs or whatever, a bunch of PDFs. So having in Photoshop and Illustrator on top of all that, and then Final Cut if we're doing a video edit to something. So RAM is important to me. And I did notice since I upgraded that I don't see any slowdowns really with memory, and having additional hard drive space free is big for me because that M1 Mac Mini was maxed out and it would just always be prompting me to like delete files and shit. It was a pain in the ass. So now
what was the hard drive space on that?
512. Yeah. So
I don't think I'll ever get less than. I just like having the extra space and not having to delete shit anymore.
Well, it's funny because in all reality, the included storage, the baseline should be fine. We just hoard stuff.
Yeah.
You're paying money to store files that you access once every 3 years or something. So in all reality, we should just dump it on a Dropbox with selective sync or put it on an external. But I'm lazy and I just like to have everything at my disposal at all times. So I'd just rather pay for the hard drive and be able to have it when I need it.
Well, I had that selective sync with the 1 terabyte and it was fine. It's perfect. That's all I needed. But I'd be at a gig and I'd think, hey, this would be cool to have this background video playing right now. And of course it'd be on selective sync because it's a big ass video file that I want to drop. And exactly. I can't sync it up and it just pissed me off. So it's just right now I love the 2 terabytes. I don't ever think about anything.
And it'll hopefully just get cheaper with time.
Yeah, and I mean, but if you're using these days, if you're using like a Mac Mini for your desktop and it's never moving, the cost of a solid state external anymore is so cheap compared to what the upgrade is on the Mac.
Yeah, but the drive, a solid state external, is going to be way slower than the built-in hard drive on the computer.
Yeah, for sure. But if you're just storing crap, just get
one of those like. I have one over here.
This guy right here, this little Samsung guy right here.
Yeah,
just was telling somebody about this.
Yep,
these guys work good. Yeah. Good.
This is 2 terabytes. I throw everything on this thing. I want to get a couple more of them. I love this little fucking drive. I'm curious. I think I get asked by DJs all the time if it's important that you have the most RAM on your laptop. I have 16 gigs on my M1. That's all you could get on this baseline M1. Do you think anybody needs to do more if it's like a Serato DJ? Maybe if you're doubling down like you are doing, do you think they need to upgrade to 32? Or what would you say would be something, a computer that somebody should really look into spec-wise?
I mean, if you're using it for work, for professional stuff, if budget permits, I would say get whatever you can afford if you plan to keep the machine. But if you're just using it for Serato, I mean, you're probably fine with an M1 base model and buy however big of a hard drive you need for your library. But in all reality, if it's just a DJ machine, you should be able to go buy a baseline MacBook Air for $999 and it'd be fine. You don't need 300 gigs of music. Let's be real.
Nick Bike just posted a
thing on Twitter.
It said,
anything pre-2018?
Yeah, 2018 I deleted. And I wanted to tell Fuse that we should make that some kind of challenge, is anything pre-2018 that has 0 plays is just deleted. It's a wrap.
Just put it on an external and throw it in your bag. And if you're in a pinch, plug it in and play it. But you don't need to spend $500 or $800 to upgrade your hard drive just so you have that file at your disposal.
But I agree. I'm just saying, I'm asking your opinion. Tell the audience what you think. $999 with an external for extra shit, or what's the baseline MacBook Air $999?
I would probably rather have 2 baseline MacBook Airs, one that stays in my DJ bag and one that stays on my desk, than a baseline 14-inch Pro. It's the same price.
It is the same price having 2 of them. Yeah. Actually, when you put it that way, it's see, this is why we got him on. This is my guy that I talk to about tech. I think I sent you the specs I was looking at. The 14 Pro it was the M1 Pro. I don't
10
remember
core.
Yeah, 10 core with 16 GPU. We were pretty close on the same.
What about?
I just said fuck it and got maxed everything out besides the hard drive. If you're gonna do it, because like I said, I'm using it for work and I'm abusing it kind of. So I just like having the headroom.
And it doesn't flinch, right?
No, it doesn't flinch. But if I was trying to be budget conscious, I would say clean up your music library and just get a baseline machine.
There it is.
I'm telling you, that deal that when I bought this one on the refurb section, that just baseline M1 with 16 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte hard drive that's
the move.
I agree
for sure.
What about anything else tech wise? Anything, even just stuff you're using around the house? Anything new you bought that you're really into?
I got like the smart home kind of going, but that stuff always just pisses me off. It seems like something is always not working how it's supposed to. So I end up just wishing that I had blinds that weren't smart. I wish they just had a fucking drawstring. But yeah, other than that, the computer is like the only real purchase. I texted Drew on Black Friday about this little battery pack,
and I bought 2 of them.
Have you used it?
No.
I almost bought one of those the other day.
I mean, when they released it, I was like, oh, that's stupid. It won't even charge your phone up to 100%. But I borrowed one when I went on a trip recently, and it actually came in super handy, like not having, because we all used to have the battery case where you have to take the phone and put it in the case and make sure the lightning connector lines up, and that was inconvenient. But so this is great because you can just slap it on and cruise around for an hour and then just take it off. So it's good to have in a pinch, I think.
I bought that when you sent that to me, and I also bought 4 AirTags on Black Friday, but I haven't fucked with them yet. I know you have a couple, right? I was going to throw one in my DJ bag. I travel a lot, so I had my check-on bag got lost on my last trip, and it was on the next flight, which was weird. I had to go back to the airport, which sucked, but it would have been cool to just have that little AirTag in it. So I bought 4 of them to throw in all my bags.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely put one in your luggage for sure. Yeah. In your DJ bag, in your checked luggage. You can see it's a little warm there, but I've left my keys behind. The cool thing that I like about that is it'll warn you. Like if I leave the house without my keys, it'll say like, hey, your keys were left behind. And before I get to work and realize I don't have my key, I just left my driveway,
That's one of those things like with the Alexa apps they do now is they have I forget what it's called, but like if you have like a smart lock on your door, she's talking in the background because I said her name now. Oh, it's called like a Hunches or something like that. And if you have a smart lock on your door and, it's kind of used to you leaving at 7 a.m. every morning and you forget to lock your door, it'll automatically do it for you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been an amazing talk. I love having you on. I could talk to you all night. Any last thing you want to mention or anything?
I don't think I have anything unless you want to chat about something.
No, I'm good. I think this is good. We just want to say thank you for coming on the show today. We appreciate you taking time and being here with us. Obviously, we love you and we love talking with you, and we could go on talking for hours. And I'm sure at some point we'll have you back on again. And Drew, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I would just say, hey, hit them with all those links.
Yeah.
Where can they find you, or just learn more about Club Cannon and whatnot?
Yeah, for sure. Clubcannon.com is the website, at Club Cannon on Instagram. I have a DJ Donk Instagram as well. All my edits on Direct Music Service. Hopefully you guys found some of that useful, and thanks for having me. It's great talking to you.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for today. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace.